Hey friends, it's Tammy. Welcome on back. I've got a fun project for us to do today. I have taken a frame that I got on clearance, and I don't even remember where. I took the backing off, and then I took some clear silicone and just went around the edges to secure the glass in place. I'm going to be using the Pebeo Vitriol, and it is generally what stained glass artists use. And I also have a coloring sheet that I found of this whimsical Christmas tree, and I've just taped it face up through the glass, and I'm going to be outlining and tracing the lines on the Christmas tree. You can find these coloring pages just about anywhere. I know they sell them on Etsy. There are several designers there. Various coloring books are available that are really great for this type of thing. And just go to any type of clip art, Google clip art, and you should be able to find something that you would enjoy doing this with. I believe this is an 11 by 14 frame. Now, I'm not doing perfect lines here at all. Because it's such a slick surface, you kind of go out at it a little bit faster than you think you're going to. And my arthritic hands, I don't have a very steady hand, so these lines are not perfect, and guess what? It really doesn't matter. You can get the vitriol on Amazon, and I think you might be able to get it at Hobby Lobby. I'm not sure if Michael carries it or not, but I do know that Hobby Lobby carries the stained glass panels, and so they would probably have something like this. I just purchased mine from Amazon, and they have it in silver and gold, and I believe black and pearl, and there might be other colors, I'm not sure. This did take me quite a bit of time to complete. You want to make sure that when you're choosing an image that you're choosing something that will give you room to work between, and you'll see why I'm saying that a little bit later in the video. This one was, presented just a few challenges for me. I got a little bit narrow on some of the areas, but I managed through, and in the end, you don't even see it. And you can wipe this off with just a damp baby wipe, and if you make any major mistakes. It dries relatively quickly. This is morning time that I'm doing this, and I came back to it that evening. But generally, in an hour or two, it's pretty dry for you to work further on it. Now, if you don't have access to the Pebeo Vitriol, then you could probably use, you could probably pipe it with your resin and some glitter. You want to do it very finely. The great thing about this product is that what you pipe out is exactly how it dries. Some of my lines got quite thin. Because I have arthritis in my hands, I had thinner lines and thicker lines. With what I'm going to do with this, it really doesn't matter that much, but I did want to make sure I had thick enough walls where the resin wouldn't go through to the next section. And so I went ahead and created a bottom to my tree because I didn't have one. And that got a little wonky too, but I like it. At the end, it looks cute. It just looks very whimsical, and that's what I was going for. Okay, so this is later on that evening, and I've mixed up my resin, and I'm using some Pinata Teal. It's in one of their new exciter packs. And I believe I put about 3 drops here. I'm putting a couple more, maybe 2 or 3 more. And I've mixed up approximately 2 tablespoons, 60 mLs. And I have my little silicone tool that Tish from Naptime Creations convinced me to buy through her channel. And I love these things. I'll use them for everything. And I'm just using it to literally paint in on these sections that I drew out. And I'm just randomly picking places. Every once in a while, I'll look at my original Christmas tree coloring page, and there were areas that were darker and lighter, and so I'm using that kind of as a gauge. Right now I'm putting in this really light teal color. It's hard to see because of my blue background, and I apologize for that, but I'm just kind of painting that in on some areas, trying to find some balance to where I put it. This is not a hard project at all. It's very doable. It's a lot of fun. It is a little bit time consuming, but you can do this. If I make any errors, I want to clean up as I go. And before I forget, you really want to make sure that your glass is very clean from the very beginning, and you want to try to keep it that way. Number one, you don't want any issues with your products curing, and you also don't want any problems with fingerprints and debris in areas you don't want it being encased under the resin. Since this is a glass substrate, anything that's on the glass is going to show up. Okay, I've already decided that I have way too much resin mixed, and so I'm taking my blue and I'm going to go ahead and put that in my angel mold. And then I'm going to add some clear. Now I'm adding a bit of the stiletto glitter here. I used some of this last week, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in my angel first because I still have plenty of my resin mixed and I want to use it. Before it sets up, that's for sure. All right, so now I'm taking some of that glitter and I'm adding it to what leftover teal I have. And then I'm taking just the clear and the glitter and I'm adding that to some of the areas in my tree. I believe I'm using the silver stiletto glitter from Laura's Art Corner. And it's probably a really good idea not to hold your cup over your project like I'm doing. Pardon me. This all started off being more or less an experiment, so I could see how it would look, and I had a lot of fun doing this. And I'm sure I'm not the first one, and I won't be the last one, I hope. Of course, I'm going to list all of my products in the description. And if you need to see a tutorial on how to do these angels that I have over on the right-hand corner of the screen I'm working on, then I can link that video down in the description as well. Okay, so I had some leftover teal resin, and I added some of that glitter to it a few minutes ago, and I am adding that to various places. I've also darkened this color up a little bit as well, so that I would have a lighter blue, a darker blue, and then just the clear resin with the sparkle in it. And I do wipe off my silicone tool there every once in a while. I'm trying not to mix the colors, and that's why the vitriol really helps, that I've established those lines. Again, cleaning up if I've had any spills. And I've decided to use what's left in my cup over in my angels as well. And this is what it looks like. This is the next morning. This is what it looks like dry. All right, and so here we are the next morning, and I am adding some resin that I have mixed just around all of the margins. And I will say that I went ahead and cleaned it up really well again with some rubbing alcohol to make sure that any fingerprints or any resin spills and all of that that I didn't want there were cleaned up. Because once again, if it's on the glass at this point, what you're going to do is encapsulate it there, and it will always be there. And so you want to make sure your glass is kept very clean. Getting right up next to that edge so that this resin will adhere to it and provide extra assurance that the glass isn't going to go anywhere. You can see I've stuck a poinsettia on the tree, just really kind of playing to see if the placement of those was something and the color was going to work for what I was trying to do. And I've decided at this point that I probably need to elevate it, and that way if there is a small leak somewhere where the silicone didn't catch as well as it should have, that if it does leak, it won't ruin my entire frame. But there were no leaks, thank the goodness. And just making sure that I'm going right up next to that tree and right up next to the edge of my frame. And the resin will give strength to the glass as well. And making sure you pop those bubbles. And you want to do this quickly, and you want to keep that heat gun moving around pretty rapidly because you do not want to overheat the resin and glass. You don't want that to break. And so I was trying to get, there was bubbles forming around the edge of the glass. And so I just took my silicone tool and went up next to the edge, and that fixed the whole thing. Used a little bit of isopropal alcohol as well and sprayed over the surface to create any new surface bubbles. Now I'm just using those poinsettias, and I have some little pretty blue and white snowflakes that I found at Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to lay them down and accent even more my Christmas tree. Initially at Hobby Lobby when I was buying these, I really didn't think I was going to wind up using them all. And honestly, the piece was so pretty without any of that on there. You could leave it plain, but I'm a little bit extra. And I decided to play, and I put stuff on, I take stuff off, and you'll see in the end that there were some things when I finished up here that are on there that weren't at the ending. So, you just have to play and feel things out, what you like, what you don't like. And sometimes, standing up and moving around your work really helps. And in this situation, I'm sitting down, and when I stood up and started taking pictures of it, I felt like it was a little bit much, and so I pulled off some of the large poinsettias. I'm just filling in a couple of areas that I think can use it. Now that I've got the gold and the pretty acrylic snowflakes on there. So I'm just going back in and laying down some additional color. Now the gold poinsettias came from Hobby Lobby, and it is one of their paper products that they sell. But these are in the Christmas section, in those round caps that they sell all their Christmas stuff. Towards in my Hobby Lobby, it's towards the back of the store. I also have a little bit of my clear and some of the glitter that I've mixed, and I'm adding that to some of the areas as well. Since I decided to add the ornamentation on this, I felt like I needed to add something a little bit more sparkly and more special to make the background come alive as well. If you are enjoying this, I would really appreciate so much a thumbs up. And if you aren't already, I'd love for you to be part of my YouTube channel. It would mean so much to me if you would consider subscribing, and it enables me to bring you more content in the future. I have several videos posted. I am a multimedia artist, so I do a lot of resin and glass work. I also do acrylic paints, some soft pastels, watercolor occasionally. I've even started working back with my clay, polymer clay. The inks, I do a lot of that. But I enjoy working with a lot of different mediums. And so instead of a mixed media artist, I'm more of a multimedia artist, and that's what I love to do. So now I'm going to go over these acrylic snowflakes and just kind of let them stand out a little bit, because I felt like they were kind of hiding, especially with the blue background there. But adding the resin to them really kind of makes them come forward and stand out a little bit. You don't want to put too much because you don't want them to lose their definition, but I think they're a lot more sparkly now that I added a little resin to them. You can see that I emptied my angels out of my little mold over there, and I'm using my leftover resin today in those molds to create my next angels. It's a great mold. If you don't have it, I highly recommend it. All right, back with the heat gun again, making sure that any bubbles are at bay. And there are my angels that I had unmolded, and I just decided, why not? It was the same colors, and it would coordinate well, and here's what it looks like. You can see that off camera, I went ahead and added a couple of cubic zirconiums to the center of those snowflakes as well. But I just love, love, love the way this turned out. And I hope you do too. Don't forget to leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. I'd love to see them. You can always tag me at Art by Tammy Lassiter if you create something similar. I'd love for you to subscribe and give me that thumbs up. Until next time, thanks for being here, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.